Welcome back for those that are curious. Genesis 004. This is also the time when the Watchers came on the scene. It stands to be noted here that this won't be discussed here because this is only about the Bible. Enosh begat Enoch, which was taken by the Lord. This is of life importance. Enoch, Noah's great-grandfather, came along, and he has been mentioned more in the New Testament than in the Old Testament. Genesis 5, Hebrews 1, and Jude 14 and 15. 51 words in the Old Testament, 94 in the New. Enoch had many offspring and was taken by God. Enoch didn't die. Enoch was transferred to heaven. Methuselah, Enoch's son, carried on the lineage. Enoch wrote a book called the Book of Enoch, but this book was left out of the Bible because the scholars who canonized the Bible possibly thought it to be too much information for oncoming Christians to read, as the Book of Enoch presents many aspects that were found rather disturbing in their eyes to be allowed in the Bible. The reason it is brought up here is because the Bible in the book of Jude, the Bible is mentioned in the book of Jude. Jesus spoke of Enoch's writings when asked about marriage in heaven, because Enoch spoke of angels who weren't supposed to marry any humans, though they had mingling with them. The phrase can't be quoted because the book wasn't canonized. It is believed the Watchers taught the humans sorcery, math, chemistry, and other extremes. Again, this can't be verified, but it does explain why man was able to do things beyond their knowledge skills, which is why during the Tower of Babel, God and Jesus came down to the earth and said, man has the skills to build this tower and they need to be stopped. Genesis 11, 1 through 9. After several begats in the family tree, Eve had another son named Seth. Seth starts the lineage towards the birth of Noah. This lineage is picked up with Noah. To start this beginning of lineage, something went wrong. When man began to multiply on the earth, there was a sexual depravity. The sons of God took the daughters of men and had children by them, men of renown. They were giants, Nephilim, fallen ones, 2 Peter 4:5. This took everyone but Noah. The twist is the verse states daughters of men, and not the daughters of the tribes. B'nai Elohim means angelic beings. The book of Enoch says angels saw and had sex with human women, and referred to it in the book of Jude. See also Exodus 21:22. This is against God's order, and God chose to limit man's life to 120 and to cause a flood to kill all but the Noah group, the Noah family. The wickedness of man was getting out of control. Evil thoughts continually. Romans 1. God gave them up of their own devices. The reason the world got to this point is because God gave us freedom of choice, and man didn't know when to say no. Better, they didn't want to say no, like children without parents. Along came Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The importance of the lineage towards Noah is that God selected Noah as being the DNA track towards Jesus. I will speak of the flood before the lineages because the flood is the event God said would happen in Noah's time. There were some other events, but they happened after the flood. Noah had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. God instructed Noah to build an ark. It was to be 3.5 football fields in length and 4 stories high. The USS New Mexico is the same measurements. He was to bring on 2 of each of unclean animals and 5 of each of clean and birds. The birds were for sacrifice after they settled. The clean and unclean are best described in Deuteronomy 14:3-21. Most all New Testament books refer to the flood as an actual event. The earth was reconstructed because of the flood. God told Noah to get in the ark, and God closed the door. This adventure will last 371 days. When it came to believing in God, Noah was alone. Rain was an event that had never happened on the earth, because the pre-flood era was watered by a water canopy. The land was lush. To tell the people it would rain and flood, the earth was an unexplainable event. It would rain for 40 days and 40 nights. At this point, the animals were traveling to the ark. The land at the time was one big mass, so there was no need for them to travel across any water. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came. After 7 days, the ark began to float. Great geologic changes were to happen. The earth broke and mountain ranges were created. The fountains of the deep were broken open. The canopy of the earth was poured out over the earth. Approximately 2.5% of the earth's present water came from the canopy. There was one supercontinent on the earth that was completely separated. If you took a look at the globe today, South America would fit beside Africa. The mid-oceanic ridge began to buckle up and push the continents apart. This happened until water covered all mountains. Thus, the reason water life skeletons are found atop mountain ranges. In other words, fossils of fish. The water rose 22.5 feet above the mountains. This is a standard description of what happened, and further research on your own to find out how much of this is true, but these facts can indeed stand on their own in my book. The waters soon began to subside. The ark landed on the mountains of Ararat. It landed on a mountain range. After 150 days, the rain ceased. If any of this sounds odd, look at the Grand Canyon and canyons created at the bottom of the oceans. Some were around 14,000 feet high. This is the level of the mountains where possibly the ark has been located. The terrain forbids disclosure. We can't get to it. 10 months after the rain stopped, the ark landed. Noah sent out a dove to get an update of land. After 3 dove launchings, the dove finally did not return, so Noah opened the ark. When Noah stepped out, it was no longer the antediluvian earth. The earth is now tilted on its axis to create the seasons, which are first mentioned here. This is when the first altar of the Lord was built. Then God came up with his promise by a rainbow.